Part 7. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 61. Yi Lin's face was expressionless. Looking at the fallen ghost in front of me. Unlike the D-class ghost, this ghost not only did not turn into ashes after death, but also left a corpse behind. A line of text quickly appeared in front of my eyes. Kill the C-level ghost soldier and get ghost energy add 3. Current ghost energy value, 100/1000, 10%. Get chaos value add 46. Class C ghost soldiers. Sure enough, after reading the text clearly, Yi Lin understood. As expected, this is a higher level ghost soldier than ordinary evil ghosts. No wonder this ghost soldier not only has strength, but also speed, which is far superior to ordinary soldiers. Judging from the chaos value, the attributes of this ghost soldier are at least twice that of the evil ghost. This is only level C. Just as Yi Lin was meditating, another line of prompts appeared in front of her. Congratulations to Apostle 1010 for reaching 10% ghost energy value and unlocking the hidden function of ghost energy. Acquire temporary total attributes add 1.0. Please Apostle 1010 allocate attribute points by yourself in the Apostle panel. Note, temporary attribute bonuses cannot be taken out of this world. Note, once the temporary attribute bonus is used, it cannot be changed, so please add points with caution. Note, the temporary attribute value increases too quickly, which may cause slight discomfort to the body, so please take it with caution. Yi Lin's pupils narrowed. He suddenly began to understand the key to this trial. Yi Lin turned on following like a shadow and easily escaped from the ghost crowd, then hid in the dark. After confirming 5 times that there was no danger around, Yi Lin opened the Apostle panel. On the Apostle panel, there is a small plus symbol behind the 3 main attributes of strength, agility, and spirit. Very simple and easy to understand operation. The inner world contains the universe and is unpredictable. Even in the future, very few people will enter the same inner world trials at different time periods. Therefore, many strategies can only be used for reference and cannot be copied. Therefore, even if Yi Lin has rich experience in clearing levels, she does not dare to take it lightly in the other world. Attribute bonuses that cannot be brought out of this world, point adding methods that cannot be changed. Yi Lin once again thought carefully about the rules of this trial. A minute later, Yi Lin, who was deep in thought, raised the corners of his mouth slightly and chuckled. Ha, I see, that's a bit interesting. Yi Lin did not hesitate and clicked all the temporary attribute points on the spirit column. After adding points, Yi Lin's Apostle panel also changed as follows. Psychic energy value 560, add 100. Spirit 5.6, add 1.0. Other attributes remain the same as before, with no changes. Yi Lin took a rough look and closed the Apostle panel. Coupled with the temporary ghost energy buff bonus, Yi Lin's mental attributes directly broke through to the 6.6 mark. And the spiritual energy value also increased by 100 points with the temporary improvement of mental attributes, becoming 660 points. This ghostly buff is so terrifying. Yi Lin instantly felt that her brain was much clearer. Even the texture of the trees around him seemed to become a little more delicate in Yi Lin's eyes. Yi Lin opened the ghost energy list while adapting to the sudden increase in mental attributes. Ranking on the ghost energy ranking, Oda Mai is far ahead. Isn't this assassination efficiency still inferior to frontal assassination? Yi Lin was a little helpless. Although his spiritual power had recovered a lot during the interval, after this round of killings, his spiritual power was only over 200 points. In any case, Yi Lin also wanted to keep the spiritual energy value that could release a disaster haunting in case of emergency. Play it safe and you will always live longer. Although not as efficient as Oda Mai, at least Yi Lin didn't take too many risks. Etc. Yi Lin suddenly thought of a question. my Oda's ghost energy value also exceeded 10%. In other words, she should have also unlocked the buff function of the ghost energy value and received a temporary attribute bonus. She was already very strong. If you keep adding this. A terrible idea suddenly appeared in Yilin's mind. She squinted and thought carefully. Could it be? 3 minutes later. Yilin breathed a sigh of relief slowly. He was a little unsure about the next direction of this plot. But Yilin had some vague guesses in her mind. After a short period of deliberation, Yilin tentatively made 12 hypotheses. When I have time, I'll take a closer look. In front of Yilin, the corpse of the Class C ghost soldier did not disappear. Yilin put aside the matter of ghost energy value for the time being, stepped forward and carefully observed the corpse of the ghost soldier. Different from the D-level evil ghosts, the C-level ghost soldiers are faster, stronger, and seem to be more intelligent. In the brief confrontation, the ghost soldiers actually had tactics. He also makes fake moves. These are all manifestations of a higher level of wisdom. Unlike ordinary evil spirits, they only know how to pounce with their claws and teeth. Yilin suddenly remembered that she met Xiao Ai, who was almost the same as a human being in the foggy forest, and Nai Hongxiu. What level were they? In addition to their strength, the flesh and blood of the ghost soldiers' corpses seemed more fresh. There is also less of that unpleasant rancid smell. Yilin's heart moved. She knelt down and gently touched the corpse of the ghost soldier. In short, touch the body. Obtain meat piece *1. Obtain ghost wax *1. Obtain ghost oil *1. Yilin was quite speechless. The meaning of this corpse is indeed, is it for touching? Fighting monsters and touching corpses, Yilin always felt that there was something wrong with this way of opening. Yilin looked at the 3 extra gray cards in his hand. Meat. Grade none. Explanation: the pieces of meat cut from the ghost soldiers are delicious. Note, it cannot be taken out of this world. Ghost wax. Grade none. Explanation: the ghost wax formed from the fat of ghost soldiers seems to be ignitable. Note, it cannot be taken out of this world. Ghost oil. Grade none. Explanation: the oil formed by the liquefaction of ghost soldier fat can be applied to the skin to make the skin as white as a ghost. It seems to have other special effects. Note, it cannot be taken out of this world. Meat cubes, ghost wax, ghost oil? Yilin thought about it for a while, but for a while she couldn't figure out what the use of this non-grade prop ripped from the corpse was. It can only be stored in the storage space temporarily. To exist is to be reasonable. Maybe it can be used somewhere. Yilin looked back into the thick fog. In Yilin's eyes, the faint ghostly figure seemed to have turned into a monster that only dropped experience and exploded treasures. You can also gain precious chaos points, which is a bonus for Yilin. He seemed to feel that the next skill that was inserted into the Apocalypse Night module was beckoning to him. No matter how bad it is, if you can accumulate enough chaos points to upgrade like a shadow or hanged by disaster, it will be a qualitative leap in improving Yilin's strength. Apocalypse Night module, for Yilin, is an important basis for challenging Apocalypse Night in the future. After the mental attribute increased by 1.0 due to the ghost energy buff, the spiritual energy value also increased. And you can spend a while with like a shadow. Yilin dived into the darkness again and plunged into the next round of killing. Hee. Please vote for recommendations and favorites. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 62. The words are divided into 2 parts. What about the psycho? Li Chang'e panicked and couldn't figure out the direction in the thick fog. No, I don't know. When Manny almost cried. Behind him, a large group of demons with glowing red eyes and drooling eyes were chasing him. The 2 of them were running desperately. In Li Chang'e's words, as long as you run fast enough, the ghost's saliva won't drip onto your pretty face. In the village, except for a large group of people who were inexplicably attracted by Pangenji, ghosts were particularly rare. Occasionally, one or two lone ghosts can be seen on the ground. But they are all corpses. Lying on the ground motionless. Wait, a corpse? Li Changa subconsciously felt something was wrong. When a ghost dies, doesn't it turn into ashes? How could there be a body left behind? But in a hurry, although Li Changa felt a little strange, he didn't think deeply about it. No time to care. Li Changa and Wen Mani were scurrying around in the fog like headless flies. Occasionally, the two of them would encounter some lone D-level evil spirits. The kind that can move, jump, bounce, jump, and eat people. The D-level ghost who was alone was not a threat. After Wen Mani experienced the initial panic, she gradually got used to the ghost's ferocious face. With the cooperation of the two, they also killed many D-level ghosts who were alone and accumulated a little ghost energy. Sudden. Another figure walked out of the thick fog. Li Changa was so frightened that he froze in place. Wen Mani failed to stop the car for a moment, and she bumped into the back of Li Changa. Duan. And bounced it a bit. Wen Mani quietly rubbed the painful area and secretly breathed a sigh of relief. It was still full and the little piggy was not damaged. Gag, how come? SHH. Li Changa covered Wen Mani's mouth. Tread. 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 The figure came step by step from the thick fog. With every step he took, there was a slight vibration on the ground. Li Changa's expression changed. Could it be that it's a higher level ghost? An idea flashed through his mind instantly. Behind Li Changa and Wen Mani, the large group of ghosts were getting closer and closer, and they could even smell the fishy stench coming from the ghosts. It's over. Wen Mani's face turned slightly pale. Li Changa had no expression on his face and tightened his grip on the knife. Wen Mani raised her head anxiously and glanced at Li Changa. Seeing Li Changa's cold and calm face, I felt inexplicably relieved. A smaller figure broke through the thick fog and walked out. Oda my! Li Changa's pupils shrank suddenly, and it felt like 100,000 divine beasts were rushing past in his heart. What's the matter with the ground shaking when walking? Is the aura too strong? This is so unscientific. It's more realistic than his special effects. How on earth is this done? The other side. Oda Wu didn't even look at Li Changa and Wen Mani, and passed through them step by step. Huh? This scene seems a bit familiar. Li Changa lowered his head and thought for a moment, and his scalp suddenly became numb. That scumbag Pangenji. No wonder the scene seems familiar. Could it be that there is a large group of ghosts behind Oda Mai? Li Changa was so frightened that he looked behind Oda Wu. After a while, he did not see a bunch of red light spots behind Oda Wu as he imagined. Fortunately, this girl is not as deceitful as that lunatic. Li Changa breathed a sigh of relief. Perhaps because he saw the top killer on the rankings, Li Changa seemed to have calmed down a lot. After all, Oda Wu kills ghosts as easily and happily as cutting fruit. With her nearby, Li Changa feels much more at ease. No wonder there are many corpses of ghosts around here. Li Changa suddenly understood the origin of those corpses on the ground. Sudden. Wen Mani tugged at the corner of Li Changa's clothes and pointed at the ground. Her fingers trembled slightly and she was speechless. Li Changa followed Wen Mani's fingers and looked down. In an instant, he was so frightened that his hair was messed up. Wherever Oda Mai walked, deep footprints were left behind. Around the footprints, there were countless dense cracks spreading in all directions. This strength attribute must be so high. Killed all night. The sky finally turned white. In the second half of the night, both Li Changa and Wen Mani spent their time in a state of confusion. From time to time, he would pick a lone evil ghost to kill, and with the cooperation of the two of them, they killed quite a few. As the sky gradually lit up, the cold temperature around me suddenly became warmer. The thick fog subsided. Countless red eyes hidden in the thick fog emitted low screams from all directions, and finally retreated completely before the sky fully lit up. Sunlight is the natural enemy of ghosts. Without the protection of fog, ghosts cannot appear under the sun. It is finally over. Li Chang'e was panting, and his limbs were already sore. If the morning came later, Li Chang'e wouldn't be able to hold on any longer. I saw Li Chang'e holding a knife in both hands, inserting it into the ground, kneeling on one knee, with his messy hair and rapid breathing. This back view gave people a strong sense of tragedy. When Manny stared blankly at the back of Li Chang'e kneeling on one knee, and the tragic and exciting BGM sounded in her mind. The loud horns and heavy drums, like the war songs of ancient heroes returning, linger in Wen Manny's ears. "Are you okay?" The thick fog dissipated and the sky lit up. Yilin walked slowly from the outside of the village. "You actually left us to farm monsters on your own." Li Chang'e cast an extremely resentful look at Yilin like a harried woman. The ghosts had retreated. Yilin turned his hand, held a sword and put the blood jasmine into the scabbard. "Didn't you brush up a little too?" Yilin smiled slightly. "A little. You know it's a little." Li Chang'e's mouth twitched. When I opened the ghost ranking, I saw that the ranking suddenly became Ghost List. Oda My Ghost Value, 372/1000, 37.2%. Iron Ghost Energy Value, 294/1000, 29.4%. Wen Manny Ghost Energy Value, 91/1000, 9.1%. Pangenji Ghost Energy Value, 64/1000, 6.4%. Li Chang'e Ghost Energy Value, 43/1000, 4.3%. Yilin closed the ghost list and said seriously, 43 points, a lot. Li Chang'e. He also didn't understand why Wen Manny climbed on top of him inexplicably. He, Li Chang'e, turned out to be the tail end of the crane. Li Chang'e's mentality completely collapsed. He originally thought that he couldn't compare to Oda Mai or defeat Yiren, but at least being the third child in the team was not bad at all. Did not expect. It turned out to be the bottom. Li Chang'e is not like those who know how to roll balls and talk, and can beat the whole world as the tail of the crane. The crane tail, is the crane tail. Li Chang'e was heartbroken. When Manny patted Li Chang'e on the shoulder and comforted, "Gag, it's okay. In Nini's heart, my song will always be the most handsome." Li Chang'e's face was expressionless, but his heart was roaring. "I know I'm handsome. So handsome. But here, is handsome useful? If you don't do anything right, you'll be eaten alive by ghosts in minutes, okay?" Yilin sighed secretly, feeling a little pity. This night is too short. This night of killing was really fruitful. His current attributes, further enhanced by the ghost energy buff, have reached an extremely terrifying state. Psychic energy value 560, add 200. Spirit 5.6, add 2.0. Mental attribute 7.6, Shinik value 760. Tower, she was indeed right. Yilin stared at the footprints on the ground and the cracks around the footprints. He could roughly guess who was passing by here. A sudden increase in attributes in a short period of time will indeed cause discomfort. At the very least, Oda Mai was somewhat unable to control her sudden surge in power. "Can you use all your strength?" Yilin chuckled. "Right now." The closed doors in the village were opened one after another. The old village chief suddenly rushed in front of Li Chang'e, with tears streaming down his face. He clenched Li Chang'e's hands with great excitement, and helped Li Chang'e, who was kneeling on the ground and gasping for breath, to stand up. Hero. Li Chang'e. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 63. Li Chang'e looked confused. When Manny held her chin, her face flushed, and she murmured in a low voice, "Wow, my Gege is so handsome even when she has no expression." Hero. You are really a hero. The village chief held Li Chang'e's hand tightly and kept shaking it, and his nose and tears couldn't stop flowing. Li Chang'e was a little unsure and silently opened the ghost energy list again and took a look. Take another look. Damn, it's obviously the tail end of a crane, isn't it? How do you make it look like a hero's triumph? Why did this old man ignore the first, second, third, and fourth rankings and just rush to himself to burst into tears of gratitude? Li Chang'e quietly looked back. Oda Mai happened to put away her sword and took a few steps. The ground cracked and the mountains shook. Look at Yulin again. Huh? Where did the people go? Look at Pangenji again. He was squatting on the ground, picking his nose with a silly smile on his face. Look at Wen Mani again. He was staring at Li Chang'e with admiration. Li Chang'e suddenly understood the old village chief's mentality. He really became more sophisticated as he got older. At first glance among the people here, he is the most handsome, the most harmless, and the best communicator. Old village chief, look at us killing all night, entering and exiting the evil ghost army 7 times, killing countless evil ghosts with our swords, no matter what, we have to. Li Chang'e smiled slightly, stretched out his index finger and thumb, and rubbed them a few times in front of the old village chief. A gesture that everyone understands. Master Ghost Hunter, this. The old village chief showed a look of embarrassment on his face. Difficult. Why is it so embarrassing? Li Chang'e, an experienced veteran actor, quickly put on a heartbroken expression. Old village chief, it's hard for us to handle you like this. The word difficult is emphasized. The old village chief fell silent, with a troubled expression on his face. Li Chang'e continued to display his actor-level acting skills, trying his best to fool people into death. Your village has a long history. There must be some magic weapon and armor passed down from ancient times, right? There are no magic weapons and armors. There should be magic secrets similar to the secrets of demon slaying, right? Even if there really isn't, there must be some medicine, pills, etc. that can improve strength, right? We ghost hunters are a very high-risk profession, so our life is not easy, okay? As the village chief, when we kill ghosts for you, it's appropriate for you to provide us with a little guarantee, right? I have already said that I will expel all ghosts from Hiwu Mountain, leaving no one behind. Speaking of the emotional part, Li Chang'e's eyes turned red, and flashes of brilliant special effects burst out from behind again. The exciting BGM lingers in your ears. Good. The old village chief suddenly raised his head, as if he had made some determination. Yulin quietly came to the one-armed old man while others were not paying attention. You survived. When the old ghost hunter saw Yulin, there was a hint of surprise in his eyes. It seemed that he had never expected that Yulin could survive the wave of ghosts last night. Yulin smiled slightly and walked into the dark room. In the corner of the room, there was still a dim candle burning. There are still countless bone sculptures scattered on the ground. The hazy face on the bone carving made it unclear what the old man was carving. The ghost energy in your body, how many ghosts have you killed? The old ghost hunter's nose twitched slightly, and after a few seconds, the cloudy eyes hidden behind his hair began to glow slightly. 276 D-level evil ghosts and 6 C-level ghost soldiers. Yuren reported the number accurately. Hey! The old ghost hunter heard this and sneered. I don't know what I'm laughing at. He sat down, picked up the broken knife, and picked up a half-carved human bone between his two dark soles. His right hand holding the broken knife trembled slightly in the void. Yilin stood aside, his expression unchanged, staring at the old ghost hunter with a calm look, without making a sound to disturb him. A few minutes later, the old ghost hunter put down the broken knife again. After all, I still didn't carve it. Why don't you get out? Yilin smiled and said, you don't have to worry about me. I'll take care of mine and you carve yours. Huh, you're in my way. The old ghost hunter groaned impatiently. It's because you were confused and couldn't use the knife. Yilin shook his head and said softly. The old ghost hunter was shocked, suddenly raised his head, and shouted at Yilin, go away. Ah! Yilin smiled, it was naturally impossible to get away. The two stared at each other for 5 minutes. The old ghost hunter lowered his head dejectedly, I have already taught you the secret technique of killing ghosts. Yilin shook his head, but I want to learn the art of killing. While talking, Yilin pulled out the blood jasmine from her waist. The special shape and the deep blood groove on the blade made the old ghost hunter completely silent. As we all know, ghosts do not need to be bled. The only people that bloodletting can kill are people. This is not the size of an ordinary ghost hunter's sword. A short knife of this shape is the main hazard and suitable for assassination. But it is not suitable for killing ghosts. The old ghost hunter understood it with just one look. Suddenly, the old ghost hunter sighed deeply. Wyutuyuneo whispered, Humph, this candle is going out, there is no wax, what should I do? Without a light, I can't carve bones, old man. What should we do? Cough cough cough. Yilin was slightly startled. After saying these words, the old ghost hunter lowered his head and played with the human bones on the ground and stopped talking. Wax. What is this? Are you entering another plot? Yilin suddenly remembered the strange object he found from the corpse of a Class C ghost soldier. I see. Just wait for me. When Yilin re-entered, she held 6 pieces of ghost wax in her hand. Ghost wax. Grade none. Explanation: the ghost wax formed from the fat of ghost soldiers seems to be ignitable. Note, it cannot be taken out of this world. Call out. The candle in the corner of the room was completely extinguished. The old ghost hunter just took the ghost wax from Yilin's hand, picked out a small piece of ghost wax, and lit it. As the ghost wax burned, a strange fragrance diluted the stench in the house. The old ghost hunter sniffed, with a bit of relief on his expression. You come with me. The old ghost hunter silently took Yilin outside the village. Here, there is a messy small forest. On the ground, there is an axe. The ground was littered with piles of wood. This seems to be a place where wood is cut. The old ghost hunter casually picked up a log thicker than the diameter of his head, and easily lifted the axe with his remaining right hand. Snap, snap, snap. When the old ghost hunter was young, he was probably not a simple person. Just by looking at the action of chopping wood, you can get a glimpse of it. The axe head was dull, and the blade was rusty and even chipped. But the old ghost hunter actually used this rusty axe to easily chop a log into pieces of wood. The old ghost hunter carefully erected the wooden board and stood it in front of Yilin. Yilin looked at the old ghost hunter. He slowly typed a question mark. Cut it open. The old ghost hunter took a breath, then sat down on the ground. There was even a playful smile on his lips. Yilin frowned slightly. Is this a killing technique? But after thinking for a moment, Yilin didn't say much. He always felt that the old ghost hunter's behavior seemed to have some profound meaning. And the few times I chopped wood just now were not easy. Thinking of this, Yilin stepped forward, ready to pick up the rusty axe. Hey hey hey! The old ghost hunter chuckled when he saw this scene. Yilin ignored the nervous old ghost hunter, just picked up the rusty axe, raised it high, and struck the wooden board. Fall hard. Very powerful. But the next second, Yilin was stunned. Duan. Yulin suddenly felt his palms go numb, and the axe in his hand almost flew away. On the axe head, there was a gap made by a mere piece of wood. A crack spread from the gap to the axe handle. Yulin reasonably speculated that if he hit it again, the axe might break into two pieces. Hey hey hey, cough cough cough, the old ghost hunter laughed wildly, until he choked on his laughter, and finally turned into bursts of dry coughing. Yulin frowned and raised the axe in his hand to look at it for a long time. He suddenly used a very serious tone, turned around and asked, "This axe, can I sharpen it? The data is not good, it's a bit cool, please support me." Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 64. Cannot. The old ghost hunter glared at Yulin. Right. This axe is very light. It's a little unusually light. If you look closely, you will see that it is not just rusty, it is rusted to the very core. Even an axe that had been soaked in the mire for more than 10 years would probably be sharper than the one in Yulin's hand after being pulled out and rubbed twice. Yulin estimated that even if he sharpened it, he might not be able to split the wood smoothly. This is no longer a question of whether to sharpen it or not. This axe is hopeless. Gotta throw it? Yulin's pupils shrank slightly. But the old ghost hunter clearly used this rusty axe to chop the piece of firewood into boards. Yulin narrowed his eyes slightly, trying to figure out what the old ghost hunter meant. "Boy, you can try your own knife." Seeing that Yulin was stupid on the spot, the old ghost hunter kindly reminded him. But that expression seemed to want to see Yulin's joke. Good. Yulin did not refuse and pretended not to see the joking expression on the old ghost hunter's face. "Just throw the rusty axe aside." Clang. Blood jasmine unsheathes. Under the sun, no light was reflected. The old ghost hunter's joking expression froze slightly, and his smile gradually faded. Only then did he notice that Yulin's saber was somewhat unusual. Yulin's current strength attribute is very low. Only 2.0. In reality, in an era when all people practice ancient martial arts, this strength value can only be at the lower level. If all the previous ghost energy buff bonus is added to the strength value, will it be possible to split this board with an axe? Yulin was not sure either. But he has no regrets. After all, he wouldn't regret his decision to split a board. It won't change the plan you made at the beginning. Yulin's eyes narrowed, and Shui Jasmine drew a semi-arc in mid-air and struck the wooden board in front of her. Duan. Yulin's hand holding the knife shook again. The tiger's mouth is numb. Looking again, the corners of Yulin's mouth twitched slightly. An axe, a knife, these two blows made him sure that there was definitely something wrong with this wooden board. Blood Jasmine actually only got halfway through the split, and then got stuck in the center of the board. It's just a piece of wood, about 1 centimeter thick. There's something wrong with this board. Yulin's heart sank. Star steel is a special metal from outside the sky. It is called a perfect metal. Even if its strength attribute is very low, there is no way it can't split a wooden board. He once used this blood jasmine forged from star steel to cut off the iron head of the semi-mechanical life form Xiaoyi from his neck. Needless to say, there is no need to say more about the sharpness of blood jasmine. But he couldn't even split a piece of wood. Can only say, there is something wrong with this board. There is definitely something wrong. Thinking of this, Yulin directly lifted the board. After getting it, the weight of the wooden board was beyond Yulin's imagination. Heavy as iron. Upon seeing this, Yulin understood immediately. He secretly cursed the old ghost hunter for being such a cheat. Locust tree. Grade none. Explanation: being invaded by ghost energy for a long time, it becomes as hard as iron and is invulnerable to water and fire. Hard as iron. That old ghost hunter can easily split with a rusty axe? Because before rebirth, Yilin's strengthening direction was on the spiritual side, so she was not very familiar with this aspect. Putting aside Yilin's doubts, when the old ghost hunter saw blood jasmine stuck in the middle of the board, he let out a light sigh and stood up suddenly. "Show me your knife." Without saying a word, the old ghost hunter actually pulled out Yilin's knife from the wooden board and looked at it carefully. "Where did your knife come from?" The old ghost hunter had a strange expression. He originally thought that Yilin's knife would be blown away. Unexpectedly, I could cut through the locust tree and get stuck in the middle. This was far beyond the old ghost hunter's expectation. Heaven. Yilin smiled and stretched out her finger, pointing to the sky. Pooh. The old ghost hunter spat at his feet and snorted, naturally not believing it. But since Yilin didn't say anything, the old ghost hunter didn't bother to ask any more questions. He suddenly frowned, remained silent for a moment, returned the blood jasmine to Yilin, and left the place without saying a word. Continue. The old ghost hunter only left 2 words coldly. In the village. Li Chang'e was stunned. He stared at the round ball-shaped object in his palm that was black and had a foul smell, and was dumbfounded. Li Chang'e originally just talked casually, but he didn't expect that the old village chief actually came up with practical information. Oni Chi pill. Grade ordinary. Effectiveness: it can absorb a certain amount of ghost energy after taking it, which may cause some discomfort. Ghostly. It can actually increase ghost energy. After Yilin quietly disappeared, Li Chang'e noticed something strange about Oda Wu and asked casually. Oda Mai didn't even hide anything, and simply explained the function of ghost energy. No wonder this girl is shaking the mountains with each kick. This Oda Mai is already awesome at coaxing, and with the addition of ghostly buff, can it not be bad? And be broken. Li Chang'e could almost imagine that if the strength attribute continued to increase, Oda Wu would smash the ground open with one punch. The ghost energy that can directly increase attribute value buff is definitely the key to clearing the level. When Li Chang'e saw the ghost pill, he couldn't sit still for a moment and asked hurriedly, "Old village chief, how many of these do you still have?" "Not much." The old village chief laughed. "Then take them all out quickly." Li Chang'e said something subconsciously. The old village chief looked at Li Chang'e with a strange expression. Li Chang'e realized that his tone was a little rough, so he coughed twice, stood with his hands behind his hands, a look of compassion on his face, sighed, and said slowly, "Old village chief, to tell you the truth, I have had a wish since I was a child. I want to become the greatest ghost hunter, kill all the evil ghosts in the world, disperse this thick fog, and restore peace to the world. If I want to become the greatest ghost hunter, I must start here, take the first step. Start from a Najiri mountain. If I'm not mistaken, old village chief, this Kiki pill is the key." Li Chang'e's eyes were bright, and at this moment, his face was full of awe-inspiring righteousness. Staring into the old village chief's cloudy eyes, Li Chang'e squeezed the old village chief's hand tightly and said in a deep voice, "So, do you understand?" Outside the old village chief's house, Oda Mai worked hard to control her soaring power. Take a step. Tread. The ground sank again. But the footprints were a bit shallower than at the beginning. As a result, the corners of Oda Mai's mouth raised slightly, revealing a smile that no one had ever seen before. Pan Zhenji came to the village entrance with nothing to do. "Hey, silly laugh. There is a stone tablet at the entrance of the village. Pan Zhenji also played here for a while yesterday." Pan Zhenji squatted in front of the stone tablet, looking at it quietly, motionless. When Mani quietly followed Pan Zhenji and was puzzled when she saw this scene. She was very curious about how Pan Zhenji killed so many ghosts. It stands to reason that Pan Zhenji, a fool with a broken knife, should have died in the ghost wave last night. She couldn't explain with common sense how Pan Zhenji survived the ghost wave and still ranked third on the ghost list. Pretending to be crazy? Still really stupid? When Manny decided to find out the truth. 1 minute. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. Pangenji remained motionless. When Manny hid in the corner, squatting quietly, her legs feeling numb. Is there anything special about that stone tablet? What did Pangenji discover? When Manny was slightly surprised. Huh, huh, huh. There were snoring sounds in the distance. Looking carefully, the snoring sound came from Pangenji's head. Sleep, asleep. When Manny's face was full of astonishment. Snapped. Pangenji staggered, hit his forehead on the stone tablet, bounced it back, and then woke up again. Pangenji rubbed his head, leaned his back against the stone tablet, closed his eyes and fell asleep. Well, he's just a fool. When Manny nodded seriously and came to a conclusion. She rubbed her numb calves. I feel that I naively thought that Pangenji was hiding everything, which made him even more like a fool. Just after when Manny left. Suddenly. Pangenji opened his eyes. Like waking up. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 65. The village chief and a group of sallow-looking villagers surrounded Li Chang'e in the center. Everyone looked at Li Chang'e eagerly. The little boy who was mourning for 5 hunters at the entrance of the village chewed dry grass and said weakly to Li Chang'e, I'm hungry. I'm hungry too. Is it useful to tell me? Where do you want me to go to give you something to eat? The old village chief coughed twice, hesitated for a while, and finally said the purpose, Master Ghost Hunter, you see, after the hunters died, we haven't eaten anything for a whole day, you see, take a look. But I also. Li Chang'e looked troubled. The old village chief suddenly came closer. Li Chang'e. The village chief glanced to the side without leaving any trace, Master Ghost Hunter, your companion seems to smell like food. Li Chang'e followed the village chief's gaze. Oda dance? Hearing this, Li Chang'e suddenly felt a flash of light in his mind. The taste of food. Is this a warm reminder for the characters in the plot? Li Chang'e, can food be exchanged for ghost chi pills? Yes. As long as the ghost hunter can find us food, I will try my best to find ghost pills for you, the more, the merrier. The old village chief vowed to do it. Ghost pill. Is this a hidden mission? Li Chang'e was thinking about it in his mind before he bravely came to Oda Wu. Tread. In front of Li Chang'e, Oda Wu stepped on the ground again. This scene made Li Chang'e's eyelids jump. Surprised, and envious. Needless to say, he was frightened, but he was envious. As long as he had a large number of ghost pills, wouldn't it mean that he would encounter ghosts and kill them? With this power, there is nothing to fear from thousands more ghosts. Come and kill as many as you come. Oda Dance Beauty Li Chang'e lifted up the bangs in front of his forehead and showed what he thought was the most charming smile. After the emotion was in place, a special effect of peach blossoms blooming appeared behind Li Chang'e, with peach blossoms flying around Li Chang'e. What a handsome young man. Do you have any props similar to meat on you? I found a hidden mission. Oda Mai raised her head, her face expressionless. After a few seconds, Mai Oda said nothing, but silently took out a few cards from the storage space. Meat. Grade none. Explanation: the pieces of meat cut from the ghost soldiers are delicious. Note, it cannot be taken out of this world. Meat, meat. Is there really food? Li Chang'e was stunned. Where did this piece of meat come from? He didn't ask any more questions, just took the cards. After being crushed, the card turned into a pile of fresh flesh and blood. What kind of meat is this? Li Chang'e had countless questions in his mind. Oda Mai touched the long knife at her waist. In an instant, Li Chang'e stuffed all his questions back into his anus, not daring to say anything. Now in this village, Oda Wu is almost the ceiling of combat power, and Li Chang'e is not a fan of himself, so Li Chang'e will not ask for trouble. Anyway, the meat is already there. When Li Chang'e brought the piece of meat to the villagers, undisguised longing showed on their faces. Meat! Meat! Everyone was drooling, looking at the meaty piece of Li Changsong's penis. Even the old village chief's eyes were shining with desire, and he was completely different from before. Li Chang'e quickly protected the meat in his hand. Don't grab it. We agreed to give you the meat with one hand and the ghost pills with the other. Hey, yes, the ghost hunter is absolutely right. I will get the ghost pills for you right now. The old village chief wiped the saliva from the corner of his mouth and looked happy. Soon, a few minutes later, the old village chief took out a small bottle from somewhere and carefully poured out a few ghost pills. A piece of meat is exchanged for a ghost pill. Li Chang'e raised his eyebrows and resisted the urge to snatch the bottle. After the old village chief was replaced by meat, he left happily under the stars and moon of the villagers. It looked like there was a party going on. Goo goo goo. There was a hollow sound in Li Chang'e's stomach. Although the apostles possess extraordinary powers, they are still human beings, and as long as they are human, they will also be hungry. However, he always felt that those pieces of meat looked a bit weird, so he didn't leave any piece to eat for the time being. A total of 8 ghost pills. Li Chang'e came to Oda Wu again and told the effect of Oni Chi pill without any concealment. In fact, I don't dare to hide it. After all, getting 8 ghost pills all depends on the boss in front of you. If Oda Mai hadn't gotten so many pieces of meat from nowhere, Li Chang'e wouldn't have been able to trigger this hidden mission. Oda Mai glanced at Li Changsong's dark balls with an expressionless expression. A second later, she actually turned her head and walked away quickly. Tap tap tap. Another crack was left. Li Chang'e stood blankly on the spot. Is this a sign of disgust? But having said that, this meatball does look quite disgusting. If it hadn't been for increasing the ghost energy value, Li Chang'e would never have eaten such a 3-no product that exuded a suspicious smell. Once he had no choice, but now, Li Chang'e just wants to be an awesome ghost hunter. At this moment, Wen Mani ran back all the way. Where did you go? Li Chang'e ignored Oda Wu for the time being and looked back at Wen Mani. He was just wondering why this little girl disappeared so quickly. Wen Mani's face turned slightly red and she hesitated. I'll go for my convenience. Li Chang'e dragged out his voice and suddenly realized. Wen Mani's face turned redder and she lowered her head, not daring to raise it at all. Li Chang'e did not let Wen Mani continue to be embarrassed, so he smiled and told Wen Mani the function and origin of the ghost pill in his hand. After hearing this, Wen Mani looked shocked, but it was quickly replaced by a hint of expectation. So, as long as we can increase the ghost energy value, we can quickly catch up with them. Catch up. Li Chang'e glanced at the rankings from 1 to 4 on the ghost list, and a confident smile gradually appeared on his face. I, Li Chang'e, have never been someone willing to be inferior to others. If heaven had not given birth to me, Li Chang'e, the ghost world would last forever like a long night. My goal. Li Chang'e did not continue speaking. Under Wen Mani's admiring eyes, he pinched his nose and swallowed a ghost pill. The Goichi pill melted in his mouth and tasted so unpleasant that Li Chang'e almost spit it out. Vomit. After enduring it for a while, Li Chang'e couldn't help lying on the ground and retching. Fortunately, the meatballs melted quickly, and fortunately Li Chang'e's stomach was empty, so he didn't vomit anything out. Take Ghost Energy Pill to get Ghost Energy at 8. Current Ghost Energy value, 51/1000, 5.1%. 8 points of Ghost Energy. After Li Chang'e finished vomiting, he was stunned. So worth it? Eating one disgusting tasting meatball is equivalent to killing 8 evil spirits. Aside from being unpalatable, there are no risks. You can improve your strength without risking your life. Even if the meatballs are unpalatable, Lee Changa somehow feels a bit delicious at this time. No, it smells really good. Thinking of this, Lee Changa gritted his teeth and continued eating. Take ONI pills to get ONI add 9. Current ghost energy value, 60/1000, 6%. Take ghost energy pill to get ghost energy add 7. Current ghost energy value, 67/1000, 6.7%. Lee Changa vomited while eating. He didn't expect that as he vomited and vomited, he gradually got used to the smell. Looking at the rising ghost value and the subtitles that flooded the screen, Lee Changa even felt very fragrant. It smells good in my heart. Originally, Lee Changa planned to eat it in one big bite. But, to use an analogy, it is like eating a mouthful of shit and eating a pot of shit. After considering his feelings, Lee Changa decided to take his time one bite at a time. Gritting his teeth, a trace of tragedy and determination flashed in Lee Changa's eyes. Finally, Lee Changa's long-awaited reminder finally came belatedly. Congratulations to Apostle 886, the ghost energy value reaches 10%, unlocking the hidden function of ghost energy. Coming. As for the next precautions, Lee Changa simply ignored them. Anyway, unimportant. Because there are no recommended positions this week, in order to increase exposure, the second chapter will be updated on time at 8 a.m. today. Tears ran. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 66. Lee Changa opened the Apostle panel and took a look. Sure enough, there is a small plus sign behind each attribute. Isn't this the point-adding system in RPG games? Lee Changa understood. When Manny looked at Lee Changa, who looked slightly pale, his eyes were bright and twinkling. After Lee Changa finished adding points, when Manny was stunned. So hot. Why is even the pale Gag so handsome? It's 720 degrees perfect with no blind spots. When Manny said to herself. Lee Changa looked down at Wen Manny and hesitated for a moment. This is my only fan in the world. This is a precious only seedling and must be taken good care of. Moreover, although Lee Changa said he was unparalleled in dominance, in fact, he still knew how much he weighed. Whether it's the bloody Odawu or the mediocre Yilin, Lee Changa's efficiency in killing ghosts is far inferior to them. He has now completely seen through the truth of this trial. If he wants to survive to the end, he must accumulate ghost energy points as soon as possible and improve his attributes. When this buff is accumulated to the end, it will definitely be a killer level. Oda Mai and Yilin are obviously not the type to play in a group. As for Pangenji, just don't mention it. When Lee Changa thought of this, he smiled and took out the last 2 ghost pills and handed them to Wen Manny. The ghost energy value that ghost energy pills can increase fluctuates between 7 o'clock and 10 o'clock. Lee Changa only took 7 ghost energy pills to push the ghost energy value to more than 10%. Including the one that the village chief gave away for free at the beginning, Lee Chang Song still had 2 ghost pills left. Even if you eat these 2, you still won't reach 20% for the next point addition. It's better. Lee Changa had his own plans in mind. In fact, there is another reason. He couldn't eat anymore. Lasted. Also scared of vomiting. Now Lee Changa's stomach is empty. If he vomits again, he might vomit blood. When Manny had a surprised look on her face. She was flattered and held 2 poorly-looking meatballs in her hands, and said in surprise, "Gag, are these for me?" Well, your ghost energy value is only a little bit short of 10%. If you eat these 2 pills, it will definitely reach 10%. By then, adding more points will also increase your strength a lot. If I guessed correctly, you should is it a type with a higher agility attribute. If you add more strength, it will be easier to kill ghosts. Thank you GEGE. When Manny's eyes turned red, she bit her lip and sobbed, but she didn't refuse and swallowed the 2 ghost pills in one breath. The moment she swallowed it, when Manny's red eyes rolled upwards. When Manny finally regained her breath, and Li Changa smiled, "Have you finished adding more points?" Yeah. Then, let's go." Li Changa shook his black robe and stood up with his sword in hand. The word kill behind his back looked extremely dazzling in the sun. This is the flash effect. Go? Where? When Manny was slightly startled and didn't react for a moment. The corners of Li Changa's lips curled up, a confident smile appeared on his lips, and he strode out of the village. Go, spawn monsters. So hot. Looking at Li Changa's back, when Manny closed her legs and her face flushed. Soon, she followed Li Changa's pace, like a little follower. When passing by the village entrance, I found Pangenji still sleeping soundly next to the stone tablet with mottled writing. Li Changa glanced at Pangenji and saw that Pangenji was sleeping soundly, and he couldn't help but feel sleepy. Thinking about it this way, it feels like I have been working hard all night and haven't had a good rest yet. But it doesn't matter. He feels like he is now, invincible. Roll over. Li Changa. Time flies. It was already dusk in a blink of an eye. The blood-red sunset draped over the ghostly foggy mountain in the distance. The strange peak shaped like a skeleton seemed to be shrouded in a layer of blood mist. No matter who looked at the empty eyes, they could not help but feel a creepy feeling. The closer to the night, the more realistic the skeleton becomes. Under the night fog, it looks more like a huge ghost hidden in the fog. While Yilin was chopping firewood, she also took the time to enter the fog forest. But don't dare to go too deep. Theoretically, his current spiritual energy value is enough to release disaster haunting 3 times. Even if she was so unlucky and encountered Nai Hungzio in the foggy forest, Yilin would not panic. He calculated a sufficient safe distance. The control effect brought about by 3 disasters was enough for Yilin to escape safely. No matter how awesome Nai Hungzia was, she would not dare to go out into the sun. This is the rule. The rules of this world. In the forest, Yilin killed many ghosts wandering alone and found many wild fruits. Wild fruits can satisfy hunger and quench thirst, and after eating a few wild fruits, you will feel full. Only then did Yilin realize that these wild fruits scattered in the foggy forest seemed to be the main source of food for the villagers before. There is no meat, so it is no wonder that the villagers are all sallow and thin, and it is obvious at a glance that they lack nutrition. Congratulations to the Apostle for reaching 30% of the ghost energy value of 1010. Acquire temporary total attributes add 1.0. Please Apostle 1010 allocate attribute points by yourself in the Apostle panel. Yilin did not hesitate and added all temporary total attributes to the spirit column. Under the terrifying addition of the ghost energy buff, Yilin's mental attributes and spiritual energy values skyrocketed again. Psychic energy value 560, add 300. Spirit 5.6, add 3.0. Mental attribute 8.6, Shinic value 860. Although this was only a temporary attribute bonus, Yilin couldn't help but smile happily. He remembered something. Deep down in my heart I can't help but have some, small expectations. Of course, in addition to the gain in ghost energy points, for Yilin, his biggest gain is another point. Chaos value. Yilin's current chaos value is nearly 13,000. This is definitely a huge resource for Yilin. This is also the result of the crazy massacre in the Ghost Tide last night. But at present, Yilin has not yet made a decision on how to use this huge sum of money. Not long ago, he took the time to enter the Apocalypse Night module mental space and try it out. Upgrading like a shadow costs 1000 chaos points, and hanging disaster costs 2000 chaos points, which is double the initial chaos points consumption. Yilin almost couldn't help shouting, you, ruthless. It's hard to imagine what a huge number this will be in the end. Thinking of this, Yilin had a headache. Of course, the above two skills are not what bothers Yilin the most. The thing that Yilin doesn't understand the most about the Apocalypse Night mod right now is, when he tried to insert the useless skill Demon Slayer into the module with the mentality of you won't get pregnant even if you try it, a prompt popped up in front of Yilin, which surprised Yilin. This operation requires 10,000 chaos points. Note, due to the special nature of this skill, you must leave this world before you can edit the module. Yes/no. A mere C-level passive skill turns out to be. Need to consume 10,000 chaos points? Please collect it. By the way, thank you to all the book friends for your recommendation votes and rewards. Due to limited space, I won't follow the example of others and name them one by one. Thank you very much. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 67. When Concealed Breath, which was also a C-level skill, was upgraded to Shadow following, it only consumed a measly 500 chaos points. 10,000 chaos value, what is the concept? In other words, 20 times the consumption of Ruiing Shadow. If there was nothing strange in this, Yilin would not believe it to her death. After all, the Apocalypse Night mod is a completely new experience for Yilin. Even though Yilin knew the rules of the other world very well, he was still confused about the module thing. Completely confused. But now, I can only give up for now. There is insufficient information to deduce the answer. Yilin casually opened the ghost energy list and took a look. In this trial mission, the ghost list has an advantage. Even if you act alone, you can roughly guess the actions of others from the changes in ghost energy value. Ghost list. Oda My ghost value, 372/1000, 37.2%. Iron ghost energy value, 312/1000, 31.2%. When Mani ghost energy value, 233/1000, 23.3%. Lichanga ghost energy value, 160/1000, 16%. Pangenji ghost energy value, 64/1000, 6.4%. Yilin's eyes narrowed. There have been slight changes in the ghost energy rankings. Oda Myoi's energy level didn't change at all. Perhaps he is still trying to adapt to the sudden increase in attributes. Those two guys worked really hard. Yilin smiled slightly, a hint of understanding flashing in his eyes. As for Pangenji, forget it, leave him alone first. Soon, the second night will enter. Night is the world of ghosts. To be on the safe side, it was naturally impossible for Yilin to stay outside the village at night. No matter how solo Yilin is, in essence, this trial mission is still a team mission. Everyone's common main mission is to kill the Ghost King. Once failed, everyone will be obliterated by the tower without exception. As for cutting wood, in the end, Yilin failed to split the piece of locust wood that was as hard as iron with blood jasmine. But after a whole day of hacking, under the disdain on the old ghost hunter's face, Yilin also noticed something strange. Yilin accidentally discovered that although the two sides of the wooden board split by the old ghost hunter were not as smooth as a mirror, they did not feel any irritation to the touch. Very slippery, very slippery. Yilin vaguely seemed to have grasped some tricks, but she couldn't completely see through them. He always felt that the reason why the old ghost hunter could easily split the locust tree with that rusty axe had nothing to do with the weapon or attributes. But, some deeper skills. Maybe, this is the killing technique I want. Yilin was not discouraged, but instead became more determined to work hard at chopping firewood. He did not forget that in the real world, there was a dog, ah no, a more senior apostle than him, watching covetously at the place where he disappeared. Even if he can leave this trial alive, if he can't break through his current strength, even going back will be very dangerous. In the village, Li Changa was high-spirited, with his sword sheathed and standing in front of him. His left hand was pressed on the handle of the sword. His robe moved freely behind him without any wind. His face was stern and he stared into the distance. Looking from a distance, the motionless Li Changa looked like an unparalleled hero about to go into battle. The kind that will never come back. Where did you go? Li Changa looked at Yilin coming from the north, frowning slightly and speaking coldly. But his tone didn't actually mean anything else. When a person is used to pretending to be cool, it will be difficult to correct it for a while. Yilin yawned, I killed a few ghosts casually. How many did you kill casually? Li Changa raised his eyebrows, excited, and quickly opened the ghost list and took a look. Fortunately, Yilin didn't lie this time. There are really a few. The gap continues to narrow. It seems that this ordinary man is not as awesome as imagined. Li Changa smiled, have you read the ghost chi list? Take a closer look. Looked at it? Yilin found a wall to lean against, put her hands on the back of her head, lazily found a comfortable position, and closed her eyes. Li Changa stared slightly, Yilin's reaction. It made him feel a little uncomfortable. Etc. Shouldn't you be surprised? Or extremely nervous? Even if that doesn't help, how about expressing a little emotion and sharing your thoughts? Don't you even feel a little nervous about being caught up in the rankings? If it weren't for the dark night that was about to enter, Li Changa would have wanted to go into the foggy forest again and find a few lone brats to bully, so that Yilin could feel the cruelty of society. Sail against the current, if you don't advance, you will retreat. Juvenile. Ah. That's right. Yilin suddenly opened her eyes. Li Changa, who was slightly depressed, suddenly regained his energy and his eyes lit up. Do you have any questions? I'll squint for a while. If there's anything special, wake me up. Yilin smiled slightly and closed her eyes again to rest. Soon, Yilin's breathing became steady and long. When Manny bit her finger and asked curiously, Gag, aren't you sleepy? Well, when you put it that way, it seems a little bit. Li Changa had not slept a wink since last night. Seeing that the next round of darkness was about to fall, now that when Manny said this, Li Changa felt that his eyelids seemed to become a little heavier. Gag, you sleep for a while, I'll keep watch. When the ghost wave appears, I'll wake you up. When Manny said softly. Isn't this bad? What about you? It is indeed not very authentic to let a delicate girl take the lead. But Li Changa did feel a little sleepy. After when Manny's persuasion, Li Changa decided to follow the example of others, closing his eyes to rest and recharge his batteries. After all, this second night will definitely be more cruel than last night. Li Changa is no longer a newbie. A good thing like getting points every night will never fall on an apostle. He still has this awareness. So he also found a corner, assumed a more decent and handsome posture, and fell asleep like that. Hoo. A few minutes later, Li Changa was lying on the ground in a big shape, snoring loudly. Night falls. Yilin suddenly opened her eyes. As he opened his mouth to breathe, the breath he sprayed out condensed into white mist in front of his eyes. The temperature plummeted. It's this ghost-like atmosphere. The fog seems to be thicker tonight than last night. Yilin stood up and whispered to Otamai, who was 3 meters away. Otamai stood proudly, her cold face expressionless, her long black and silky hair draped smoothly over her shoulders, adding a bit of tenderness to Otamai's cold temperament. Hearing this, Oda Mai glanced at Yulin but said nothing. Yulin thought for a moment and decided to give a reminder. I suggest you not to add all your attribute points to the strength attribute at once. If your strength increases too much in a short period of time, it is not all good for you. Adding a little agility attribute appropriately can improve your reaction speed and flexibility. In fact, it can also improve your body's ability to adapt, allowing you to become familiar with new attributes faster. When Oda Mai heard this, her heart moved. After a moment of silence, she just nodded slightly. Coming. Yulin's eyes narrowed and she turned to look into the depths of the mist. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Xueshi. Chapter 68. All the villagers, as early as dusk, were satisfied with eating meat and hid in their houses and closed the doors tightly. This moment is like last night. Dark night. Thick fog. But tonight's fog seems thicker and more gloomy than last night. The air around seemed colder. When Manny couldn't help but tremble. Deep in the thick fog, countless red lights gradually lit up. Those are ghost eyes. Another ghost tide. Yulin always felt that something was wrong. He stretched out his arm and saw that the dense hairs were actually standing on end. His current mental attribute is as high as 8.6. There is a vague sense of impending danger. Tonight is unusual. But after all, Yulin does not have the ability to predict the future, nor can he know what will happen next. With the experience of the first night, Li Chang'e seemed much calmer after waking up. There was a slight smile on his face. Facing the approaching ghost tide in the thick fog, Li Chang'e did not retreat. Instead, he took a step forward and slowly pulled out the saber at his waist. He stared at the knife in his hand, his eyes gradually becoming blurred, and whispered softly, "Tonight, can you drink all the ghost blood again?" Yulin. Oda Mai. When Manny, wow. After Li Chang'e finished brewing his emotions and recalled countless spotlights and the exclamations of directors in his mind, he turned his head and analyzed Yulin seriously. If I guessed correctly, this trial mission should be similar to a tower defense game mode. Every night, waves of ghosts appear. After killing ghosts, we can gain experience points, which is also ghost energy. After obtaining ghost energy, we can upgrade our attributes. Then the ghosts every night will be stronger than the last night. Yulin nodded, he agreed with this. Li Chang'e smiled and said, "So, it is not difficult to pass the level. As long as we work together and continue to upgrade, the Ghost King should appear in the last wave of monsters. Kill the Ghost King and pass the level." Perfect. Yulin nodded with a calm expression, "That makes sense. One more thing, I wonder if you have thought of it." Li Chang'e became more and more enthusiastic as he spoke. The ghosts last night were mainly D-level ghosts. If the ghost tide tonight is higher than last night, there may be a lot of C-level ghost soldiers. Speaking of this, Li Chang'e's tone was a little timid. He looked at Yulin, then at Oda Mai, and continued, "So, I personally think that teamwork is the key to clearing the level. You guys today please don't run around by yourself later, remember to follow the instructions." In fact, there is one sentence that Li Chang'e did not say clearly. The strength of Yulin and Mai Oda are the two pillars of this small team. Having two thighs beside you always makes you feel a little more secure. Making a fortune silently is the way to go. When Li Chang'e uses ghost energy to strengthen himself to a certain extent, he will naturally no longer need to rely on other people's breath. Until then. That's when Li Chang'e took off. He is a late-stage player. To gain points, you also need to be skillful. Li Chang'e said to himself silently. Haha, Yulin chuckled, non-committal. Oda Mai didn't even raise her eyelids. Just hold the knife. Still not out of the sheath. But at this moment, Oda Mai stood proudly like a sword, and her aura was gradually drawn out. It was like an unsheathed sword, showing an unstoppable aura. Giggle. Suddenly, a chuckle came from the thick fog. Yilin's pupils narrowed. Li Chang'e saw a ghostly figure not far away and smiled coldly. The emotions are in place. Special effects are coming. When he opened his eyes again, Li Chang'e's handsome face showed 3 parts disdain, 3 parts cold arrogance, 3 parts confidence, and 1 part, murderous intent. It's just an expression that contains a variety of complex emotions. Senior actor, so scary. The mighty Tianlong. Behind Li Chang'e, a bright light suddenly erupted, and a dragon-shaped shadow appeared out of thin air. In an instant, Li Chang'e seemed to be the brightest star in the dark night. When the special effects flashed, Li Chang'e also quietly drew out his sword, preparing to attack quietly after the special effects confused the ghost's face. During the day, Li Chang'e relied on this special effects style of play to gain a lot of ghost energy. Tried and true. The more you try, the better it gets. So cool that I took off. World. Li Chang'e's mood was getting higher and higher, and he was ready to shout slogans and upgrade the special effects. At this moment, a stick-shaped black shadow tore through the thick fog and swept directly towards Li Chang'e. The golden dragon shadow was instantly shattered by the stick shadow. Originally it was just special effects. It doesn't have any real offensive power. In the thick fog, the black figure actually let out a chuckle. What the hell? What the hell? Li Chang'e looked confused. Can actually talk. His eyes suddenly widened, and a thick stick directly knocked the majestic Li Chang'e away. A lot of blood spurted out in mid-air. Ah! Li Chang'e only had time to let out a scream that made the listeners sad and weeping, before he flew straight above the heads of Yilin and Oda Mai. Yilin had no time to care about Li Chang'e, who didn't know whether he was alive or dead. He looked forward, his eyes suddenly cold. Xiao, Yi. Almost at the same time, Yilin activated Shadow Follower and entered the mist. Giggle. Xiaoai chuckled. She had changed into white and clean clothes today and looked innocent. The child's voice, as clear as a bell, seemed extremely strange in this environment. If you say that the child in front of you is innocent, Li Chang'e is the first one who doesn't believe it. 10,000 people don't believe it. It's a pity that Li Chang'e couldn't jump up at this moment. Jinga. When Manny didn't react until nearly 10 seconds after Li Chang'e was slapped away and screamed. At this time, Yilin had arrived behind Xiaoai silently. Those eyes were calmer than ever before. But it was also colder than ever. No emotion. A trace of. Nor. Shui Jasmine took out her sheath and stabbed Xiao Yi in the neck. Then pull hard. Laugh. Black and red blood spurted onto Yilin's face. It still has a hint of warmth. It was not as cold as Yilin imagined. Xiaoai's head fell to the ground like a bone. Rolled to Xiaoai's feet. After Yilin chopped off Xiao Yi's head with a knife, his pupils shrank slightly, and the next second he held Shui Jasmine in front of him. Xiao Yi, who had lost his head, could still move his body. With a stick nearly 1 meter long and thicker than his thigh, he turned around and struck Yilin behind him with the stick. Yilin groaned, and huge power came from Blood Jasmine. From the palms, to the elbow joints, and then to the shoulders. Yilin's hands were firmly pressed on her chest. The Blood Jasmine that was supposed to kill the enemy almost touched the tip of Yilin's nose. Boom! Yilin's health suddenly dropped by 14%. This is still an unstoppable situation. If it can't be stopped, the consequences could be disastrous. This kid who calls himself Xiao Yi is completely different from the day Yilin first met. It doesn't look like the same ghost at all. After Yilin was shot away, she did not take action again. Instead, she dived into the thick fog. A huge wave of ghosts approached the village step by step. Today, the fishy smell coming from the ghost tide is much lighter than last night. But that's not a good thing. The lower the level of the ghost, the stronger the rancid smell. In other words, the average level of this batch of ghosts is far higher than the batch last night. Li Chang'e had expected this. Xiaoai leaned down and picked up her head from her feet with one hand. That head is still smiling. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 69. Yi Lin's hands were numb. When he saw Xiaoai in the foggy forest on the first day, he didn't really fight. So I didn't know that this female ghost who called herself Xiao Yi was so powerful. Yi Lin's attribute values are not suitable for frontal strength. However, Yi Lin discovered a terrible problem during a hurried inspection. On Xiaoai. No will-o'-the-wisps. In other words, this female ghost. No weaknesses. Demon slaying techniques cannot detect weaknesses. How to kill this ghost? Can't be killed. Yi Lin admitted that her mood had fluctuated just now, but she had not lost her mind yet. He couldn't bear the name Xiaoai appearing on a monster. Even if that will deliberately arranges it, it won't work. But after careful analysis, Yi Lin discovered that even if she cut off the head of the female ghost, she could not truly kill it. Demon killing technique has failed? Or is this ghost a special being? Yi Lin suddenly thought of a possibility. There is an ominous feeling. At this time, Yi Lin was in the center of the ghost tide. In the mist, there were red eyes all around. Countless ghosts surrounded Yi Lin. Yi Lin took a deep breath and held the blood jasmine tightly, like a ghost, sneaking silently in the ghost tide. But following like a shadow is not an invisibility skill after all. The reduced sense of presence does not mean that it cannot be seen. Although it can avoid the sight of some ghosts, there are too many ghosts in the center of the ghost tide, and it is inevitable that some ghosts will be discovered. Ah! Yi Lin chuckled lightly, but this smile was like ice, with frost. If the ghost had emotions at this time, had the ability to think, and could distinguish the emotions on Yi Lin's face, he might wake up. This man is more like a ghost than them. In the village, Li Chang'e was knocked away with a stick. A bit miserable. Yi Lin entered the thick fog and never appeared again. Pan Zhenji disappeared and never appeared. But when Manny, trembling on the spot, turned around and left, not knowing whether to go find Li Chang'e or find a place to hide. But these. None of them can move anyone. She. Oda Mai, moved. Her face was expressionless, as if everything happening around her had nothing to do with her. It was as if she was the only one under this night sky, in this thick fog, in this deserted village, with one knife. That's enough. Oda Mai bowed slightly and made a gesture of drawing a sword. Xiaoai giggled, and while smiling, she pressed the head on her neck again. After twisting it, he put it back on again. There was only a thin line of blood left on his neck. Master Ghost Hunter, you are so scary. Xiao Yi smiled and looked around, as if trying to find Yi Lin's figure in the thick fog. Boom! The ground beneath Oda Mai's feet suddenly shattered. Where she walked, it actually sank nearly 10 centimeters. The huge sound attracted Xiaoai's attention. But when she turned her head, she was enveloped in a fierce sword light that could not be distinguished at all. Hiss! Countless sword lights struck Xiaoai. The white and clean clothes were instantly stained black and red by the black and red ghost blood. Xiaoai's ghost body was in pain, and the smile on his face dropped sharply, but his movements did not stop, and he directly hit Mai Oda in front of him with a stick. Oda Mai's eyes were slightly cold. She knew very well that her strength was not perfect. If it were perfect, the power of that step would not have leaked out and cracked the ground. Unexpectedly, this skyrocketing attribute not only failed to significantly improve her strength, but actually put her in another embarrassing situation. At the same time, Oda Mai and Yilin discovered the same thing. That is, there is no will-o'-the-wisp in Xiaoai's body. How to kill a ghost that cannot see the will-o'-the-wisp under the side of the demon-killing technique? At this moment, Oda Mai had the same question as Yi Ren's mind. While thinking, Oda Mai made a direct slash with the sword, and the sword and the stick collided fiercely. Clang! The imagined scene of cutting the sticks did not appear as promised. Oda Wu forcibly carried the stick. Although he was not knocked away like Li Chang'e, under the heavy force, Oda Wu's shoulders sank, and the ground beneath his feet cracked deeply, and fell in. Today, the entire village is in shambles. The ground seemed to have been plowed. Yilin kept harvesting ghost energy in the darkness. There is also chaos value. Except for Xiaoai, no higher level ghosts have appeared yet. In this wave of ghosts, there are mainly C-level ghost soldiers, with occasionally a lot of the lowest D-level evil ghosts mixed in. While killing like crazy, Yilin didn't stop to think. Why, Demon Slayer can't see will-o'-the-wisp. Only by stabbing the ghost fire with a knife can you truly kill the ghost. Yilin has already fully tested this point. On the first day, he tried 64 different killing methods on the D-level evil ghost, but none of them completely killed the ghost. As long as the will-o'-the-wisp on the ghost's body is not completely destroyed, the ghost will be resurrected indefinitely. Even if it is broken into several pieces, the ghost will heal slowly. The higher the level of ghosts, the faster they heal. Xiaoai had her head cut off by Yilin, but it still didn't hurt and she pushed her head back directly. It's a bit troublesome this time. After Yilin stabbed a ghost soldier to death, he lowered his head and muttered to himself. Li Chang'e climbed up with difficulty. When the stick hit Li Chang'e's face just now, Li Chang'e instantly felt as if he had been run over by a car's wheels. Although, he was not run over. But based on feeling, it should be almost the same. Li Chang'e felt that the left half of his handsome face was swollen and painful. The left eye couldn't be opened either and was covered in blood. His first reaction was, "Am I so disfigured?" The second reaction is, "My face. My face." He endured the pain and groped for his face in the dark for a moment. It seemed that it was only swollen and there was no obvious wound. The blood seemed to be coming from his forehead. Hum. If you see that brat again, I will tear her alive. Although he couldn't see clearly at that moment, Li Chang'e roughly remembered that the stick that knocked him away seemed to be an evil ghost with the size of a child. What the hell is that? It seems like I heard a ghost talking. Li Chang'e felt that he must have hallucinated. Or, maybe it's the special effects. Unexpectedly, I use special effects to fool people all day long, but today I was slapped in the face by special effects. An illusion must be an illusion. How can ghosts talk? Humph. It's impossible, it doesn't exist, ha ha ha. Li Chang'e looked up to the sky and smiled, muttering to himself. He picked up the knife from his feet, his face swollen, hesitant to kill back. Kill, and possibly get beaten again. But if you don't kill him back, you won't be able to get enough ghost energy and cannot be strengthened, you will most likely be beaten several times in the next plot. Being beaten once and being beaten n times. Li Chang'e was very confused. While he was struggling, he didn't notice that in the thick fog, the hazy moonlight actually had a faint blood red color. The blood color is too light, and it is difficult to see carefully if you don't distinguish it carefully. Li Chang'e didn't notice that behind him, a figure with a good figure fell from the sky quietly. Dressed in red. Skin as delicate as snow. As well as that long silver-white hair fluttering in the night sky. Please vote and collect. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 70. Inexplicably, Li Chang'e shuddered. Trembling. He is very strange. He was obviously well dressed and his robe was tightly wrapped. But there was something cold and cool behind my back, which gave me a creepy illusion. Li Chang'e felt like there was a gaze behind him, like a cold knife, scratching his back time and time again. Whoosh whoosh. Painful and cold. There is even an illusion that blood is pouring out. He subconsciously touched the swollen left side of his face and muttered to himself, "Something's not quite right today. Why are there so many hallucinations?" Li Chang'e muttered and turned around. Oda Mai stepped back dozens of meters. She knew in her heart that even if she could cut the ghost in front of her into pieces, it would be meaningless. It's just a waste of effort. Moreover, a lot of effort will be wasted. Because Oda Mason added temporary attributes to strength, every sword she swung made her feel uncoordinated in her body. Unable to control force perfectly. Oda Mai suddenly remembered the man's words. And the man's calm expression. Oda Mai gritted her teeth. Although she didn't want to admit it, the man did see her current embarrassing situation at a glance. The ghost tide swarmed up, and within the field of vision, the entire fog was covered with dense red dots, which was extremely frightening. This amount is like a sea of flashing red light, giving people a sense of powerlessness being swallowed up by the Red Sea. Kill. Retreating into the ghost tide, Oda Mai kept waving the long knife in her hand, and with one slash, it actually tore through the thick fog and cut out a bright sword. Wherever it passed, countless ghost soldiers and evil spirits, heads, limbs, and black blood flew up one after another. Knife after knife. Oda Mai couldn't even count how many she had killed. His body had already been stained crimson by ghost blood. The blood of the ghost soldiers is black with red. A little more fresh, a little less rancid. But in the end, it still stinks. But Oda Mai seemed to have no feeling at all, killing one by one like a machine. Countless ghosts fell down one after another like wheat. But at the same time, countless ghosts rushed up from the deeper fog without fear, and gradually drowned Oda Mai. Sudden. Oda Mai found out. Somewhat tired. The knife in his hand became heavier and heavier. What she didn't notice was that as she continued to kill ghosts, a hazy black light gradually appeared on the knife in her hand. Yilin took a look at the psychic value. Has dropped below half. There are too many ghosts in front of us, and they can be killed and slaughtered endlessly. Although Yilin superficially agrees with Li Chang'e's statement, this mission level is similar to the mechanism of a tower defense game. Wave after wave of monsters, killing and killing, constantly upgrading, then killing higher level monsters, and finally killing the boss, the Ghost King. But when I think about it carefully, there are many doubts. I couldn't tell for a while. But Yilin always felt that something was wrong. Why can't the ghost who calls himself Xiao find the will-o'-the-wisp? If even that Ghost King is. His arms also began to feel a little sore. Yilin cannot shoot left or right, and cannot switch to his right hand when his left hand is tired of killing, or switch to his left hand when his right hand is tired of killing. It's not Zhou Batang, it's not that exaggerated. If we continue to kill like this, when will it come to an end? Although it can generate a large amount of chaos points, if this continues, it is not optimistic. Yilin thinks about everything for 30 years before acting. From his experience, everything in this trial was weird. Take the scene in front of me as an example. There are too many monsters called ghosts, an unusual number. According to the fact that a low-level ghost is worth 1 ghost energy value, 5 people, the total upper limit of 5,000 ghost energy points, this number is really terrifying. This is just a ghost mountain. Etc. An idea flashed in Yilin's mind. The upper limit. He caught a fleeting thought. A more terrifying guess was brewing silently in Yilin's mind. Right now. Yilin made a movement in her hand, and a biting coldness surged into her heart, making Yilin instantly feel like she was immersed in ice water. In this moment of confusion, a ghost soldier next to him seized the opportunity and tore his claws directly into Yilin's back. Laugh. Blood spurts. Yilin's health suddenly dropped by nearly 10%. Yilin gritted his teeth, turned around and killed the ghost with 2 or 3 cuts. After touching the body, he didn't care to read the message on the screen. He suddenly turned around and looked in the direction of the village. This feeling is her. Xiaoi led the ghost tide, carrying a thigh-thick stick on his thin shoulders, still stained with blood. His pale fingers were sucked in his mouth, with a naughty smile hanging on the corner of his mouth. Li Changa's blood. She was not in a hurry and walked into the village slowly. Behind her, the hundreds of ghost soldiers could no longer suppress their bloodthirsty desire, and they passed by Xiaoi one after another, looking for fresh flesh and blood. In the eyes of ghosts, the freshest flesh and blood is undoubtedly Oda Mai and others who are jumping around in the village. Xiaoi released her sucking fingers and pulled out a trace of crystal mucus. She suddenly looked at the sky, happily looking at the night sky, waving the stick in her hand excitedly. Because she was too excited, Xiaoi didn't notice that there were 2 ghosts beside her. Their heads were smashed by her with a stick, and blood splattered. Mother! The moment Li Changa turned around, he was completely stunned. It took nearly 10 seconds for him to react. What a beauty! Nai Hongxiu's delicate willow eyebrows frowned slightly. She lowered her head and looked at the weak-looking ghost hunter beneath her. Not him. Nai Hongxiu's fair face was expressionless, and her silver hair was floating. Suddenly, the silver hair suddenly surged, covering the sky, directly tearing through the thick fog, like a fork, piercing through Li Changa's chest. Puff! Li Changa felt severe pain in his chest, and a mouthful of blood spurted out from his mouth. The health value instantly dropped to 0%. How come? Li Changa's face was full of astonishment. What the hell is this? Although he was beguiled by the female ghost's beauty just now, he was not stunned for such a long time because of her appearance. The real reason that made him freeze in place was he discovered that he couldn't see the will-o'-the-wisps on the opponent's body using the demon killing technique. How to kill? What the hell is this? Li Changa felt sad. His long hair passed through his chest and penetrated his lungs, making it difficult for him to breathe. Cough cough cough. A few seconds later, Li Changa's eyes widened, his face turned pale, and he was strung up in the air. I saw those legs bouncing a few times and then completely stretched straight and stiff, and there was no movement. Died. Where? Nai Hongxiu felt a little strange, she couldn't sense the existence of that hateful ghost hunter. Where? She casually threw Li Changa's body in the corner. Li Changa was not her target in the first place, and she did not like eating human flesh and blood. She killed Li Changa just because Li Changa stood in front of her, nothing more. Silver hair, as warm as jade. Li Changa's blood couldn't stick to his silver hair, and dripped down the ends of his hair. Soon, Nai Hongxiu's silver hair became as smooth as snow again, free from dust and blood. Hiss! A dazzling sword light suddenly bloomed. In the night, it is extremely dazzling. The silver hair flying in the sky flexibly turned into a shield in front of Nai Hongxiu, blocking the sword light. 10 meters away, Oda Mai, covered in blood, walked towards her like a demon. With every step he took, the ground suddenly cracked, leaving sinking holes. Boom! 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 That sword light was actually the vacuum slash that Mai Oda used to tear the air with her sword from a distance of 10 meters. One knife. Cut the void apart. Positive comments welcome.